There is a version of you that exists only in other people's eyes, and today, that version is under construction. Something in the sky right now is pulling your attention toward the surface of your life, your image, your voice, the way you land in a room, while quietly demanding that what you build there actually holds up under pressure. If you are a Leo, what happens in the next few hours could shape how people perceive you for the next 5 weeks, and possibly longer. Stay with this, because the way today unfolds is rarer than it looks. The bigger picture. Right now, Jupiter is moving through Leo, and specifically through your first house, the house of self-image, presentation, and the mask you show the world. In Western astrology, the first house is not about who you are internally. It is about your packaging, your look, your voice, your public presence, the version of you that walks into a room before anyone gets to know the real you. Jupiter expanding through this house does not change your character. It amplifies your visibility. Think of it as a spotlight that was dim for months suddenly being turned up to full brightness, whether or not you ask for it. At the very same time, Venus is shifting into Libra and into your third house of communication, a move that lasts until around September 10th. In Western terms, the third house governs how you talk, write, network, and exchange ideas. Venus here softens your delivery. Words that might have landed flat a week ago now carry warmth and persuasion almost automatically. And there is a third layer tonight. The Sun, currently moving through your own sign, is forming a supportive trine to Saturn. That aspect matters because it is the one thing keeping this expansive, charming energy from tipping into excess. It asks you to sound sincere, not just impressive. Here is what almost every casual horoscope reader misses about this combination. Jupiter inflates your image. Venus sweetens your voice. Saturn asks you to back it up with follow-through. 3 different planets, 3 different jobs, all converging on the same 24 hours. Meanwhile, if we shift into the Vedic or Sidereal lens, a different but complementary layer appears. Vedic astrologers watching the moon today place it in Aries, and in that tradition, a well-placed moon on a given day often correlates with a sense of contentment and small, serendipitous reunions, something or someone from your past resurfacing in a way that feels lucky rather than disruptive. Vedic tradition tends to read these transient moon placements as short emotional weather, distinct from the longer structural themes Western astrology tracks through Jupiter and Saturn. Both lenses, though, are quietly agreeing on something. Today favors visibility, warmth, and being met halfway by circumstances outside your control. Love. This is where Venus's move into your communication house becomes personal rather than theoretical. If you have been struggling to find the right words with someone, a partner, a situationship, someone new, that friction may ease today without much effort on your part. A well-timed message, an honest question, or even just showing genuine curiosity about someone's day can open doors that argument or persistence could not. Take a breath here, because this next part is the part people skip. The same energy that makes your words land also makes it easy to promise more than you can actually deliver. Enthusiasm is running high under this Venus-Sun combination, and it is tempting to overcommit, to say yes to plans, dates, or declarations faster than you would normally allow yourself. The Sun's supportive link to Saturn is your check on that. It rewards restraint. Confirm the reservation you can actually keep. Send the message you mean. Show up when you said you would. Under this sky, consistency is not boring. It is what makes charm believable instead of just entertaining. If you are open to dating right now, do not be surprised if someone outside your usual type catches your interest. Venus in Libra has a habit of softening your preferences right alongside your delivery. Career. Bring this same clarity into your work life, because Jupiter's presence in your first house is not shy about wanting an audience. If you have been circling an idea about how you are perceived professionally, a rebrand, an updated portfolio, a bolder pitch, even something as literal as a new haircut or wardrobe before a big meeting, this window tends to reward that kind of visible investment. This is a cycle about staging your act, not changing your substance. The packaging is the opportunity here, not a distraction from the real work. Layer in Venus's smoother communication, and suddenly the timing gets interesting. A pitch to clients, an overdue update to your social presence, a webinar or presentation you have been sitting on. This 5-week stretch tends to favor exactly that kind of self-expression. Here is a synthesis worth sitting with. Western astrology frames Jupiter in your first house as a call to actively perform and present yourself larger than usual, while the third house Venus transit gives you the actual vocabulary to pull it off convincingly. One expands the stage, the other hands you the script. They are not separate opportunities. They are the same opportunity, arriving from two directions at once. Money. Naturally, visibility and communication have a financial edge, and this is where some of you may notice relief creeping in after a stretch of tighter months. If you have been quietly chipping away at old bills or cleaning up financial loose ends, the discomfort of that process may be giving way to something steadier. This is not a lottery ticket kind of luck. It is the more grounded kind that comes from disciplined follow-through finally paying off. That said, the same overconfidence that shows up in relationships can show up here too. Jupiter's expansive presence and Venus's persuasive charm make this a good window for negotiating, pitching, or asking for what you are worth, but a poor moment for impulsive spending dressed up as self-investment. If part of your image upgrade this cycle involves money, professional photos, a course, new clothes for that big meeting, it is worth asking whether it is a genuine investment in how you are perceived or spending disguised as productivity. Health. If you take away only one thing from today, let it be this. The most exposed house in your chart right now is the one connected to your body and your image. And Jupiter does not distinguish between a genuine upgrade and a form of avoidance. That is the sharper truth hiding inside all this shine. The same energy that makes you want to look and sound your best can also tempt you to paper over something that actually needs quiet attention rather than a new performance. That is worth sitting with, because if you have been managing some physical discomfort with patience rather than action lately, this is a gentle nudge not to let a good mood talk you out of listening to your body. Many people under similar patterns find that a small ache or fatigue they have been brushing off deserves an actual look rather than another day of pushing through. Keeping something nourishing on hand at work, staying hydrated, and giving yourself permission to rest when the Jupiter-fueled performance energy dips are all reasonable ways to work with this cycle rather than against it. On remedies, some Vedic practitioners may recommend specific colors, mantras, or other supportive practices tied to today's planetary patterns for individuals whose birth charts support them. This is not universal advice, and any gemstone-based remedy in particular requires a full personal chart reading rather than a general recommendation. What helps one Leo can be irrelevant or even unhelpful for another. Simple, safe options like wearing a color associated with luck for the day or spending a few quiet minutes in reflection are available to everyone regardless of chart specifics. Home and family. The warmth flowing through your communication does not stop at romance or business. It tends to spill into your closer relationships too. This can be a good window for reconnecting with a family member or old friend, especially if there has been distance or unspoken tension. The same graceful, low-effort charm that opens professional doors today works just as well over a phone call with someone you have been meaning to check in on. You may also notice small, unexpectedly happy moments at home, something you thought was lost turning up again, whether that is a literal object, an old memory, or a rekindled connection. These are not major turning points, but they are the kind of small joys that tend to brighten an otherwise ordinary day, and they are worth actually noticing rather than rushing past. Travel and spirit. If travel has been on your mind, this stretch tends to favor short trips over ambitious ones, the kind tied to connection rather than escape, like a quick outing with someone you are drawn to, made easier by the same smooth communication running through the day. For those thinking further ahead, a European city with an easy, walkable charm has been flagged by some practitioners as a favorable destination for Leo energy in the coming months, worth keeping on a list rather than booking impulsively today. On the inner side, this is a reasonable window for reflecting on the gap between how you present yourself and who you actually are underneath the performance. That is the real question Jupiter's transit through your image house is quietly asking. Not how do I look, but does the way I am showing up actually represent me? Sitting with that question for even a few minutes today, through journaling or quiet reflection, tends to be more useful than any external fix. Lucky signs. If you are looking for quick markers to lean into today, turquoise has been flagged by some Vedic practitioners as a supportive color for Leo's current energy, and the stretch between 5:15 and 6:15 in the evening carries a reputation as an especially favorable window, a good time to schedule a meeting, send that important message, or simply pay closer attention to what unfolds. Compatible energy today tends to favor people and situations that reward directness paired with warmth, rather than pure boldness alone. Tay's guidance. Bring all of this together, and the day has a simple shape to it. Something is asking to be seen, something is asking to be said well, and something is quietly asking you to make sure the two match. Let your image work for you today, but do not let it replace the harder, quieter check-ins your body and your commitments are asking for. Say the kind thing, confirm the plan you can actually keep, and notice the small returns of luck and connection as they show up rather than waiting for something bigger. None of this requires forcing anything. The sky has already done the heavy lifting today, expanding your visibility, softening your voice, and asking for just enough discipline to make it all believable. What you do with that combination, starting in the next few hours, is the part only you can write. And if today's chart feels like it is speaking directly to something you have been sitting with, tomorrow's sky has its own story waiting to unfold.